reaction when I heard about this was, whose idea was it? Who's been putting this forward? Who's heard about this? Who knows about this? And I immediately started making phone calls about it. And I started at the top, Florida Department of Environmental Protection, because that's the entity that I'd heard about it. Then I started calling around from county commissioners, city commissioners, state representatives, you name it. Does anybody know anything about this? Had anybody heard anything? Did you work on this a week or a year ago? Somebody warn you about this? Nobody that I spoke to in government in Palm Beach County or Martin County had heard literally one thing about this. Everybody was taken totally by surprise, which was amazingly surprising to me.
Why is that? Why did you figure out who this overall source was that knew of this, and that maybe why they weren't telling the local department?
So the source of this is, it goes back to what's known as Florida's Great Outdoors Initiative under Florida Department of Environmental Protection, and they're looking to expand outdoor activities. So that's the source of this. Now, one of the big problems is, and there's a number of problems here, this is a first of its kind initiative. There's no other state park across the state of Florida that they have done this in, tried this in, building 2 or 3 golf courses across the state park. They haven't tried it anywhere, so it's a brand new thing. Again, they haven't told anybody in any level of government about this. And then when you look at who's actually approving this or disapproving it, there's a group known as the Acquisition and Restoration Council within Florida DEP. We call that group the ARC. That's a governor-appointed council. Now, there's supposed to be 10 members of that council. I believe right now that there's 7. So you probably know that there's scheduled to be a town hall upcoming next week, Tuesday. Here's what I wrote a letter about after calling and asking questions about this. None of the voting members of that council are planning on being in attendance for this public comment. Now, why does that really matter? Because I know my community pretty well, and I know there's going to be a lot of people that have comments, and there's going to be a lot of people that have questions. All of them deserve to be heard and answered. But if you don't have the people there that are actually voting yes or voting no, then you are just doing a box checking exercise. All you're doing is a dog and pony show that doesn't actually give any level of respect, responsibility, or legitimacy to the members of this community. So my specific ask in my letter is several things. Number 1, Florida Department of Environmental Protection, make sure that all of the members of that ARC that are voting on whether to turn this park into a golf course are in attendance to actually hear from the people. That's number 1. Number 2, if you have to change the date from next week Tuesday to make it Wednesday and Thursday, or Thursday and Friday, or the week after, in order to get all of the voting members here, then do that. But we need all of the voting members to hear from our people. So do whatever you have to do. Number 3, don't think that you're just going to get this done in 2 or 3 hours in an evening. Again, I know my community pretty well, and I think you're probably going to have thousands of people that want to be heard and want to ask questions. So if you have to plan 2 or 3 days, then you need to plan 2 or 3 days, because everybody needs to be heard. Final request that I make on this letter is to, simply say this. I hope that everybody across every level of government in Palm Beach County, in Martin County, that they write a letter of their own demanding the exact same thing. We need the people that are actually making the vote on this, which is nobody around here, to be in attendance, and not just be in attendance to hear the people. You need to take your own feet. You need to step onto this state park, see what's going on out here, and not just vote with a level of ignorance about what's actually taking place.
And when you called the Department of Environmental Protection,